What is guys? What is guys? What is up, guys, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages? I am Kotab here, and after that terrible, terrible intro, and how long have I been doing this? I should be used to giving my intro by now. I've been doing it the same for the past, couple of years. Whatever. Anyway, I got this battle. I was playing around with some UU last night. Well, this night, actually. This morning, actually. It's really early in the morning. But anyway, Showdown decided to delete all my teams. I don't know why, but it did, so I had to remake my teams. This team you guys might recognize. I am on this side, the opposite side here. This was from my last session, my last UU session, and I was very successful with this team. Just one problem stood out, is I had problems with fire types, namely Victini, Darmanitan, stuff like that. So I switched out Aerodactyl since it really wasn't doing anything with a Blastoise, and you'll see, I don't know if he's used much in this battle, but this night when I've been using him, he has come in handy, much more handy than Aerodactyl ever was, so I'd like to think that that was a good choice, putting in Blastoise. That, and with Blastoise I have a nice Fire, Water, Grass core with Infernape, Shaman, and Blastoise, of course. So, anyway, I was pretty decently high up on the ladder when I got this battle, so I was thinking, okay, it's going to be a pretty good one. And man, I was on my game tonight. My predictions have been on point, and this guy played extremely well. And spoilers, I beat him by quite a bit, but this battle, I just wanted to show you how much, reading your opponent, seeing what they're doing, and predicting on that, how much that really comes into play in a game such as, Pokemon like this. So you'll see me do some predictions. I'll pause and explain my thought process. I like narrations like that, where I actually explain everything. So without further ado, let's get on into this. I always lead off with Infernape, fastest thing in the tier with the Scarf. It's really good. I just go for a U-turn, figuring he's either sashed, yeah, probably sashed, so I just wanted to break the sash. Going to Shaman, figure nothing really wants to take a Seed Flare, so I just go for it. Since he was in on that there Blaziken, and this is going, or not Blaziken, Blastoise, this is going a little fast. Just slowed it down a bit. He goes into, okay, now, that might look like a weird switch. He goes into a Chandelure, and I switch into my Infernape. Now, you're probably wondering why I did that, and the reason is I was scared of the trick. I was fearing he would predict a switch into my Blissey and go for a trick, and actually doing that kind of pays off later, in a way, as you'll see. But he goes into his Blastoise. I'm just going to go for a Stone Edge, get off a little bit of damage. Any damage on a Blastoise is good. He opts not to Mega Evolve this whole match though, which is kinda odd. Maybe he wasn't Mega, maybe he was, I don't know. But he goes for a Scald, gets a crit on my Blissey. That does not matter in the slightest. Since he's running Scald, it makes me want to think that maybe he's not Mega at all, he's just a regular Blastoise. But I don't see leftovers, so I don't know. But he predicts my switch, or he predicts me to Toxic very nicely and goes into his Lucario. Obviously being a Steel type, he blocks the Toxic. So I am going to switch out into my Mew, figuring most of these are physical, even if he, because the way he brought it in, if he was special, he wouldn't have brought it in on Blissey. So I figure Mew is a very safe switch there. Even if he does have Crunch, I can live, I think 2 of those after lefties. So he's going to switch as I go for, what do I go for? Oh, I go for a double out into my Blastoise, figuring he would go into his Chandelure. But he actually goes into his Hydreigon and decides to stay in and go for a Draco. I don't quite agree with that play. If I were him, I would have U-turned out into something else, because I am going to go for a Dragon Pulse and just destroy his life. I could have went for the Aura Sphere as well, but I figured Dragon Pulse, a little more flashier. So he's going to go into his Galvantula, a very nice switch in there. I'm going to go into my Metagross. I can take anything he wants, being Assault Vest. max HP. That Thunderbolt does not do that much, and it turns out he's Life Orb, so that would explain why he didn't get up Sticky Web earlier in the match. He decided to switch out. It's because he's actually using his Galvantula as an offensive one rather than a Sticky Web sash one. But I'm just going to go for a Meteor Mash as he goes into Chandelure. Now, I do not have any speed investment, so obviously I can't stay in. I'm going to go into my Blissey this time, knowing that he probably won't Trick this time, because he'll think that I'm going to go into my Infernape or my Blastoise. So that's why mixing up your switches is kind of important. See, that time he could have went for the Trick. He definitely could have went for the Trick. But since last time I went into my Scarfer, which didn't care if it takes this thing's Scarf / Specs, and I also have Mega Blastoise, he did not want to go for that because that's what I did last time, was I switched into one of those. So this time, by going into my Blissey, it shows him that I'm not scared of anything he has to do. I know exactly what he's going to do. I'm just reading him, and in the end, that'll actually make him, in his mind, scared to make plays later. The mind is an interesting thing, and I could go on a lot about it, but let's just continue with this. He's just going to stay in and go for a Flamethrower, as I go for a Wish. I only have Seismic Toss as an attacking move. I could Toxic this thing, but in the end it won't really matter. Linkin Park. But I figure with a Wish up in the air, this is going to be a good opportunity for me to go for a Toxic, but no, he predicts that nicely. Goes back into his Lucario. And here I can just go right into my Mew, knowing that I'm not really afraid of anything this Lucario wants to do. A max HP, max defense, and he goes for a Flash Cannon. Which obviously he's more invested in physical attack because that does not do that much. So my Mew is pretty much an all-around stop to this guy's Lucario. Now, knowing he's gonna go into his Chandelure or something of the sort, I am just gonna go for a Psyshock rather than a Will-O-Wisp, which I already revealed earlier, I think. Oh no, earlier I did the double switch, so maybe he was predicting another double switch, but nope. My Psyshock was armed and ready. So he's going to go into his Galvantula. Obviously I can't take anything this wants to do. This time I'm going to go into my Blissey, thinking he's going to Bug Buzz, which he does, rather than Thunderbolt on my incoming Metagross. See, just switching up your switch ins and outs, mixing up everything that you're doing, really makes your opponent second guess themselves, and it really does make them feel like they can't make the right move in any situation. And here I knew he was going to go into Lucario, so I'm going to double right into my Infernape, which was an amazing play, because now I have the pressure on him. I can go for a close combat, 2-hit KO this Blastoise, probably 2 or 3-hit KO the Florges, depending on its spread, and pretty much knock out the other two guys. So he does not want to stay in to lose his Blastoise. It's at a very small amount, so he goes into his Florges, as I am just going to stay in and go for another close combat. And judging by how much damage that does, he's definitely either an offensive one or a specially defensive one, not physically defensive. So I don't want to stay in here. I don't want to get Moonblasted. I'm going to go into my Metagross, aka the Florges Slayer, as he goes for a Moonblast, and that does a decent bit, so I definitely think he is an offensive spread. But here I could just go for a Meteor Mash. He's actually faster, thus confirming my suspicions of a offensive set. And he goes for Sub. I just Meteor Mash. Now I figured he might want to stay in and do it until I miss, so I was just going to go for a Bullet Punch, which from that range might have even killed since he wasn't defensive. But he goes into his Blastoise, sacks that. That was a good play on his part. Now he knows I have Bullet Punch, so now he's definitely not going to go back into Florges and try to outspeed me with sub shenanigans, but rather go into Lucario. Now here, I knew I could live a close combat. I knew it. So instead of switching out like I normally would have, I'm just going to stay in and go for an Earthquake. And in doing that, it pretty much seals the game, because at this point he doesn't really have anything to take down my Mew or my Blissey or my Blastoise. So Metagross just eating up hits, taking souls. He goes into his Galvantula. I can safely go into my Blissey, not fearing anything he wants to do. My phone is going off. He's just gonna stay in here, spam Thunderbolts. I am going to speed this up a little bit. He's just gonna stay in here, spam Thunderbolts, actually gets the para on that one, which doesn't matter. I have Natural Cure as well as Heal Bell. I'm just gonna Toxic him. I actually predicted a switch into Flow just there, but really he can't kill me at this point. Now instead of like wishing, protecting, and doing all that stuff, I'm just gonna Seismic Toss, speed this up a little bit here. And he goes into his Florges, his last remaining guy. And I figured, you know what, let's just get a Toxic on this thing, switch into something else, kill it, be done with the battle. He actually has Hidden Power Fighting, which is interesting. I get a Toxic off, so now I'm pretty much safe to switch into anything at this point. I figure I go into my Blastoise, which that Hidden Power does a lot more than I thought, so he's actually able to knock me out with the Moonblast. So he doesn't get 6-0'd. But, it doesn't really matter. I wasn't trying for 6-0. I could just go into my Metagross, Bullet Punch for the game. And, you see they're just mixing up everything that you're doing, playing mind games with your opponent, pretty much really takes its toll, because at that point he was scared to go for his trick. He was scared to switch in and out of stuff. He was scared to, he was scared to switch out of his Lucario, because he knew that if he did, he was going to get punished for it. So, just outplaying and outpredicting your opponent is really important. My advice is take like the first 2 or 3 turns, maybe even 4 or 5 turns, and just see how your opponent plays. See exactly what they do in what situations. See what they do under pressure, and just abuse the crap out of it. Because even if they act good under pressure, even if they do make proper switches, there's always some way you can take advantage of that. Like if they make a really safe switch, then go into your very unsafe switch and it'll totally catch them off guard, make them panic, and in their brain they're thinking, oh crap, nothing's safe anymore, I can't do anything. So just doing stuff like that, and it really makes this game go from, doing math calculations with your EVs and stuff, and takes it from being smart to taking it to being controlling, I guess is the word. But anyway, I hope you guys learned something. I like this style of narration where I slow things down, really explain what I was thinking. But yeah, if you liked it, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to see more stuff. And check the description for more goodies, and I will see you guys later.